All right, so the first item to take care of tonight is just for us to properly close out of closed session. I'll let the city attorney announce that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we had two closed session items. First, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9D2, one matter. There's nothing to report on that item. And then we had a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Teamsters Local 986 versus the City of Solvang. And there is also nothing to report on that item. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're out of closed session. We'll open the regular meeting of the Solvang City Council, August 10th, 2020, 6:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Clark.
Here.
Councilmember DeJarnius.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Waite.
Here.
Mayor Toussaint.
Here.
All present.
Karen, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, we'll go to public communications, written or verbal. I'll start with the proclamation for Ben Olson, read by Robert Clark.
I'll stand when I'm doing this, if I may. Proclamation celebrating the 50th anniversary of Olson's Danish Village Bakery in the city of Solvang, California. August 1st was originally 2020. This proclamation recognizes the 50th anniversary of Olson's Danish Village Bakery operating in the city of Solvang. Whereas Olson's Danish Village Bakery originally opened at 1529 Mission Drive in 1970, when Bent and Susie Olson purchased the bakery business from then shop owner John and Betty Larson. Whereas in the years that followed, the business and customer base expanded, serving thousands upon thousands of fresh bread, cookies, cakes, and famous Danish pastries to loyal locals and visitors from all over the world. Whereas today the business, the dedicated employees, and owners Bent and Susie Olson continue to host daily visitors from all points of the globe, the bakery serves as a Solvang icon, and the Olsons continue to support the community with generous volunteer efforts for various local organizations. Now, therefore, be resolved that the City Council, staff, and residents recognize the delicious impact Olson's Danish Village Bakery has had on the Solvang community, as well as its historical role in the town's business and tourism development, and joins with them as they celebrate their 50th anniversary. Congratulations.
Can I just say a few words about that?
Please do.
Please do.
Take us back to 1970, before any of you were really born. You were just little kids. We came here in '65, and I was working for somebody else in town, and I got to know Betty and John Larson pretty well. And at the time, we were debating whether we should go back to Denmark, take over my father's bakery in Denmark, or stay here. So I consulted with my dad in Denmark, said, no, Solvang, that's where the opportunities are. Stay over there, and then I close my bakery down, and I come over and help you out. And thanks to Betty and John Larson, they talked us into it, because we were we thought we were too young to go in for that responsibility. So, but they pulled us in there, and then of course when John and Betty they passed on, then their sons Hans and Alan took it over the building, and they still own the building. And but we are very happy with them. They are the best landlord you could possibly ask for. They are reasonable people. They're good people. So we appreciate them very, very much.
Thank you.
And of course, we also appreciate all the support we had from Solvang and San Ynez Valley through all the years, and our wonderful employee we have had through, some of them 30 to 40 years.
50.
50 years almost, that's right. So we appreciate all the help we have had, and it hasn't been easy, but we have had turtles here and there, but we are still here. And we plan to be here for many more years to come because we actually like what we are doing. We love it. I love to go in the bakery every day, and that's our life. And at the same time, I also appreciate our newly elected, no, it's not newly elected anymore, but for 2 years ago, we got a new city council, and you pulled us out of a bad situation we had for 3 or 4 months there. But look at Solvang today, we are coming back strongly, thanks to you. You made Solvang a different place. You opened up Copenhagen Drive, you opened up other places in town, and the town looks very, very festive and very good. So I think we should all be very, very pleased with what you have done, and at least I am, and my wife, she's very pleased with what you have done. So continue.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
I want to add one thing because there is a note in here about the volunteer efforts that you guys have had with various local organizations. And I've only been here 15 years, but for all the Kringles we've had at Danish Brotherhood, people don't realize all the buns at the Danish Days burger booth every year come from you. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for what you have done for this valley and the support you've given all the nonprofits, all the volunteer groups, all the schools, et cetera. Just above and beyond what any town could ask of a merchant and a team that you both are. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so, can you take a picture of them behind?
I won't hug you, but I'll give you an elbow bump.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you both
Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
But you guys come up here and get a picture behind the dais.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up there?
Yeah.
With the whole council?
Yep.
Take your mask off.
Yeah,
Yes.
take that thing off.
Just don't breathe, everybody.
We can all stay in our spots.
Stay in our respective spots.
Thank you.
Come on up.
The Little Mermaid?
Let me get this out of your way.
We want sushi in the middle, or?
Sure, you guys
Yeah.
in the middle.
I'm little,
Are we standing or are we?
Yeah, stand.
but I'm powerful. You can get everything.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Karen?
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Keep up the good work, please.
Thank you.
You too.
Make Solvang even more beautiful.
Is the Kringle still in your car, Bent? Or did you bring in the Kringle, or is it still in your car?
I'll bring it, are you here tomorrow?
No, thank goodness.
I will bring it.
No, thank you both.
All right, so next we have Monterey Bay Power, I'm sorry, Monterey Bay Community Power Presentation.
Public communication.
So I see on
Presentation.
Zoom we have J.R. Killigrew, if I'm pronouncing it right, with us. We can't hear Zoom sound right now.
Oh, you can't hear
Right-
anything
Right
right
now
now?
we can hear you. Okay, go ahead,
Okay,
please.
great. Well, first and foremost, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here virtually. It's great to see you all back at the dais. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now, and hopefully you all can see it as of right now. Can you all see the first introductory slide?
Yes.
Wonderful. Again, thank you very much, Honorable Mayor and esteemed council members. My name is J.R. Killigrew. I'm the Director of Communications and Outreach here at Monterey Bay Community Power. And as you see in the little brackets on this page, we're soon to be Central Coast Community Energy. And Solvang had a lot to do with that. So we just wanted to at least acknowledge the fact that our expansion southward led to a name change that's coming through. And I may have kind of spoiled our surprise a little bit, but I know my colleague Mark Adato had spent a couple great evenings with you folks about a year ago. So it's really wonderful to be back with all you folks virtually and to provide you this annual member agency update that we do to each of our 32 member agencies across the 5 counties of the Central Coast. So just to give you a little background in terms of who we are, it's probably been a little while since we've been able to connect since our last council presentation. But as you probably were well aware, that Monterey Bay Community Power started up in the Tri-County region and the North Central Coast, where 3 counties and 16 cities got together to form Monterey Bay Community Power back in 2017. And fast forward to now, we've actually expanded our service down to San Luis Obispo and Morro Bay. Those customers were enrolled earlier this year. And with the joining of 11 new agencies across Santa Barbara County and mostly the remainder of San Luis Obispo County, we are now moving forward with an agency that comprises of 4 counties and 28 cities across the Central Coast. So we're really excited to see this growth in our agency and to provide the value of the community choice energy model to communities from all across the Central Coast. So just a reminder, because as you are probably well aware, when you elected to join MBCP late last year, we were going to become the primary electricity service offering for your businesses and residents in Solvang. So just a reminder that it is a partnership to support our shared customers. So MBCP becomes the primary electricity service provider for all eligible customers, and then PG&E provides the delivery and the billing for those customers. So it may be a new model to you folks, but it's been around for over 10 years now, and we're servicing collectively with the 20 CCAs across the state over 10 million customers. So we go out and procure clean and renewable resources. Those are put on the grid, and then PG&E handles the transmission and distribution of those electrons. And voila, that service lands in your home, but we do it at more competitive pricing. And as I mentioned earlier in my introductory slide, we are becoming CCCE, or Central Coast Community Energy. So our board heard from us earlier in the spring about this opportunity to change our name to reflect our expansive service area. And back in June of this year, our policy board member unanimously supported the move from Monterey Bay Community Power to Central Coast Community Energy. So effective September 4th, we are becoming Central Coast Community Energy by and large. So no more Monterey Bay Community Power. We are 100% all in to be Central Coast Community Energy. We have a new tagline called Clean Energy Local Control, and our new website will be 3cenergy.org. And we're still playing with the acronym, whether it's going to be 3CE or CCCE. But it's a really exciting development and hopefully shows our commitment to helping to unify the Central Coast from southern Santa Barbara to San Luis Obispo and all the way up to San Benito, Santa Cruz, and Monterey counties. We did want to highlight some of the accomplishments. We've really been moving quite quickly, but we did want to reassure you again that our financial position is just as strong and even stronger than it has been when we connected with you last year. We actually are pursuing a credit rating right now. And I think first and foremost, we are still committed to supporting local vendors. We've actually have 32 full-time employees. We opened up a satellite office in San Luis Obispo, and we've actually are hiring local staff to help support the enrollment upcoming, but also to be community liaisons for not only the Santa Barbara communities like Solvang, but also the communities in San Luis Obispo. I did want to provide an update about our energy procurement because a lot of questions we get about what are you doing to accelerate the state's goals related to renewable energy. And this is just a snapshot of what we've been able to contract over the last about 20 months since our inception. So effectively, we've been able to contract for about 35% of our annual energy demand. And those contracts are going to be coming online in terms of either existing or new renewable energy projects in California or connected with the California grid within the next couple years. And as we expand our service area, that's going to provide an even greater need for us to procure further renewable energy, and especially as we move towards a proposed new strategy that will hopefully get us to 100% renewable energy by 2030, assuming our board approves that direction. But a lot of questions come up about are there enough resources to meet the demand? They certainly are. We sometimes get 60 to 70 different bids from anywhere from 20 to 30 different developers every time we issue an RFP. And when we collectively put together our buying power with other sister CCAs, it really incorporates and provides a more attractive option for the developers in the space. COVID-19 is on the front of everyone's minds right now, and I did want to highlight that our board approved unanimously the most sweeping and impactful COVID-19 response of any CCA and effectively any utility in California. So we reduced all of our rates by 50% in the months of May and June, and that collectively put back about a little over $22 million into our customers' pocketbooks right when the pandemic was really starting to step into full swing. So that's something that we're really proud of. And as a public agency, we do have a fiduciary responsibility to not only our elected officials, but all of our ratepayers. But we are going to be able to find a way to kind of bring back those revenues over the next 18 months by reducing our energy programs costs a little bit, and then not delivering as much of a savings that we had in the beginning of the year, but still delivering a 2% savings through December of 2020 and then into 2021. I did want to highlight another really great value proposition that MBCP, soon to be Central Coast Community Energy, has, is our focus on electrification, fuel switching, and resiliency. So we set aside 3% of our gross revenue, bucketed into these type of programs that we've had a lot of success with. Most recently, we launched a housing electrification grant for both market rate and affordable multi-unit dwellings. We actually had so much interest, we actually had to increase the budget about 10% to meet the demand. And that demand was basically met in the first 4 hours that the applications went live. So we are going to be supporting some projects in San Luis Obispo, Monterey, and Santa Cruz. And we're actually looking to expand that program down into Santa Barbara in 2021 as well. Additionally, we partnered with our local air district, and we're actually talking with the Santa Barbara Air District as well as the San Luis Obispo Air District to replicate our school bus electrification program. So this provides no-cost school buses to school districts that are looking to do away with their diesel school buses. And actually, we have 6 applications already in, and we're really excited to expand those type of offerings down south in the future. I did also want to highlight, because this fund will be available to the city of Solvang once they enroll in January of 2021. So the Uninterruptible Power Supply Fund is another hallmark opportunity for MBCP to listen to community needs and respond effectively. So we set aside $25 million out of our reserve, our rate stabilization fund, to support energy resiliency in light of the public safety power shutoff. So out of that 25, right now we have $20 million of low-cost financial support that are open to our public customers, whether our city or county governments, public school districts, public hospitals, or public water and wastewater districts. And so we also we're starting to get some applications, but I did want to let you know, as well as the other 8 jurisdictions that are enrolling in 2021 in January, that this fund will be available to you. So as you start to evaluate your needs related to critical operations that the city owns and operates, we're here to help support you. I did want to pivot our presentation into kind of a preamble before our enrollment in January of 2021. By the numbers, there are about 6,000 eligible customers to enroll in MBCP, soon to be Central Coast Community Energy Service. The majority of them are residential, about half are residential, and then the remaining between commercial and agricultural. But when you look at the 34+ million kilowatt hours, the majority are commercial and agricultural customers. So we are going to be looking at different opportunities to engage with your customer base to make sure they can make the most informed decision when the transition happens in January of 2021. As a reminder, we have 2 service offerings. We've actually changed it. You heard about MB Choice and MB Prime. Now with a new name, the default service offering is 3C Choice. That comprises of clean and renewable resources. And then 3C Prime is our voluntary service offering of 100% renewables, which is a little more than 0.8 of a penny more per kilowatt hour than 3C Choice. And I did want to let you know we've been engaging with city staff about our 2021 community enrollment plan. this is the roadmap to help support our engagement with our member agencies as well as the greater community about the enrollment that is going to be happening in January. As the first emboldened text says, in 2021 of January, the service will start for all eligible customers in Solvang. So what we're going to be doing is we've put together this plan. Next week, actually, we're hosting 2 meetings for just strictly city and county staff and enrolling communities to walk through the community enrollment plan, set expectations, really hope to partner with our city and counties to get the word out about the enrollment. But our commitment is to reach out to the key customers, the largest customers, and walk them through their bill and do a cost analysis, identifying key stakeholder groups within Solvang, as well as doing regional advertising to raise awareness. And then, of course, our required mailers by law, but we were really excited about developing a lot of key resources virtually, because most of the engagement we're going to be doing right now is going to be virtual, whether it's digital collateral or videos. And then our call center is staffed up by 6 to 8 really trained up and experts around energy and billing. So any questions you or your customers or your network has, please call our call center. They're here to support you. And then additionally, we're excited to collaborate with our city staff and county staff to really help share about enrollment information, whether it's through upcoming newsletters, social media platforms. We're really looking to leverage the city and or the county to help validate the enrollment of why you went through this decision and what kind of value propositions your customers and constituents in Solvang are going to benefit from. And I did want to remind you again about the enrollment. So again, the whole community enrollment plan and everything we do outside of the required mailers is completely on our dime, and because we want to have an effective, successful enrollment. So as you're well aware, the only thing we have to do as an agency is send out 4 paper mailers, one 60 days before the meter transition in January, 30 days in December before the meter transition. In the month of January, based on the billing cycle, each of the customers will get batched in every week. And then we have to send another notice 30 days after the enrollment, and then finally one 60 days after the enrollment. And again, customers can opt out at any time at no cost during the enrollment period. So that would be from November through March. And then should a customer decide to opt out after the enrollment period, after March, there is an administrative fee that we're not here to hide from at all. We just want to be transparent. $5 for residential customers and $25 for commercial customers. But all the effort that we're going to do to really engage and provide resources for customers to make an informed decision is definitely our commitment, especially with this expansive service area, which is why we're hiring up and we have staff locally to at least be conduits for the community at large between Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo County. Did want to just round out my presentation with some key updates about, us moving towards a unified Central Coast CCA. We've got those virtual enrollments on the 19th and 20th next week just for our city and county staff. As I mentioned, we have a satellite office in San Luis Obispo now that, again, both of our offices are closed here in Monterey and San Luis Obispo, but should we find a time in early 2021 when we can open those back up, we'll be looking at that. But certainly folks can engage with us directly or through our call center. They're available Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Also, we're establishing an annual meeting, which we would love to have representative from Solvang join us next year when we do that. This will be a great opportunity for us to review the budget, upcoming initiatives and vision, and really use this as an opportunity to bring all 3 of our boards together, our Community Advisory Council, our Operations Board, and our Policy Board. Again, the name change is first and foremost on our mind, just in terms of migrating to Central Coast Community Energy. And the last 2 bullet points just highlight the fact that we're moving forward with this enrollment. And then we have actually set up a virtual advocacy roundtable to further engage with our community groups that are really excited about this program and what it can deliver to the Central Coast. On that note, feel free to stay connected with us. I certainly encourage everyone to join our newsletter and our board agenda notification list. You get information really readily. And it gives you a great opportunity to understand more about how our boards are what the agendas are on our board, and more about the type of information we're disseminating through our newsletter. Again, the website, the info ad, and our phone number. The phone number will stay the same, but everything's going to be migrated to Central Coast Community Energy. So you folks are going to be one of the last few that we do our presentation under the MBCP moniker. But again, really excited to connect with you all today. And I appreciate the time and the opportunity, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from the council.
Great. Are there any questions?
I have one. Thank you very much for giving us your presentation. You had mentioned that you offer all your member cities more competitive pricing. There's no guarantee for that, is it?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's no guarantee, but right now our track record shows that, when we started, we were 3% lower than PG&E, then 5%, then 7%. But due to the COVID pandemic, we did deliver that 50% reduction in rates, but we still are at 2% lower than PG&E. And our whole business model is to procure energy at the most competitive rate. So our business is based on us being competitive.
Is that based on you adding more and more cities to become competitive, or just that's the way it is now?
No, that's the evolution of the market. And because we don't have as much kind of overhead as the investor-owned utilities, we're able to go out and negotiate really competitive rates. A lot of that has to do with the market has evolved. The rates for utility scale generation have come down significantly. So we've been able to capitalize on that and then deliver that through to our customers.
And with Diablo Canyon being decommissioned, there's no fossil fuels in your mix, but with all that happening, you can still offer better rates than other groups in other areas.
Yeah, and the Diablo Canyon decommissioning is something, as you well know, is well beyond MBCP's launch. And that right now, the cost for Diablo Canyon is actually being shouldered by all the community choice energy customers through the exit fee. So basically, whatever PG&E had initially contracted for, they're still offloading that into the grid because it is a source that the CAISO needs and the greater state of California needs. But that difference is being covered by CCA customers. So when that decommissions, and there's a lot of real push to get resources online to meet that, it doesn't mean that we won't have natural gas, as a baseline resource for the not so distant future. But the legacy issue of Diablo Canyon and the exit fee will be kind of sunsetting once it decommissions middle of this decade.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. With that, move on to normal public comment. I don't have any.
There's one.
Oh, one?
speaker slip.
Tracy Beard?
Yes.
Tracy Beard?
No, mine is for something else.
Okay.
What?
Public comment.
What item on the agenda is it for?
I'm not, I'm just public comment.
This is public comment.
Yeah,
Items
so
not
to
on the
speak-
agenda.
I wasn't on the agenda.
This is not on the agenda.
Yeah, no, this is general public comment. Sorry, a little confusion with the presentation, but
we're-
that was part of public comment.
Did we say goodbye to 3CE?
Did you
Yes.
say goodbye? Okay. This is for the council members? Sorry about the confusion.
No worries.
Hi, I'm Tracy Beard with the Solvang Chamber of Commerce. Our partnership with the Economic Development Collaborative, better known as the EDC, and the SBA of Long Beach, Los Angeles, was able to bring to Santa Barbara County 100,000 masks this weekend and 500 cases of sanitizer to Santa Barbara County. Using the attestation forms with the Health Department from Nancy Anderson's office, the EDC and the Chamber of Commerce membership through the Santa Barbara counties were able to give all the chamber memberships the following: 50,000 masks to northern Santa Barbara County, 16 to Santa Maria, 16,000, I'm sorry, 6,000 to Santa Ynez, 6,000 to Bealton, 8,000 to Lompoc, 25,000 to the South Coast Chambers, and we were able to keep 24,000 for ourselves. I want to thank Aaron Peterson from Chomp and Brecky's. This past Wednesday, we used his parking lot as a staging ground for all the chambers. We were delivered 7 pallets of PPE to northern Santa Barbara County here. And with that, the chamber was able to do 171 businesses, 1,202 employees in Solvang, 700 shields, 700 bottles of sanitizer, 24,800 masks, and that is almost 500 boxes of sanitizer. On Saturday, I was able to deliver to the Los Olivas Chamber 200 bottles of sanitizer to them. The Solvang Chamber of Commerce received an award, and we were seen as the most essential business organization in the Tri-Counties this year for Pacific Coast Business Times. On March 16th, with the Maravant Web Design as a Google partner, we pivoted our chamber for 75 classes with SCORE, SBA, EDC, and Gold State Marketing in 60 days. Our Chamber of Commerce won a Google Partner of the Month in January, Getting Your Business 2020 Ready. And right now, with the Solvang Chamber and Amerivant, we were seen in the month of July as Outstanding Partner of the Month nationwide, and our logo was put out nationwide. On the economic side of our SBA loans, we were able to assist in revenue $1.5 million in loans with the SBA, and we're very proud of that. And we wanted to tell you and show you what was going on in your community. And this weekend, we were able to get out every bit of it, and we have less than 10 left of sanitizer, and those are designated for a few people that weren't able to pick them up this weekend. And so I wanted to just show you what it was. So we received the partnership, and we're very proud of that in the magazine. And our partnership with Montecito Bank and Trust, and we really want to say thank you to them for all the loans they did in this community. And for people that don't know, as of just May 30th, they did over $13.6 million in loans for this community. 153 total right in this alone for the Valley. 600 million, which is 69 businesses right now in Solvang. So we just want to say our partnerships are doing very well. We're very happy to support the businesses during this pandemic, and it was kind of a big kudo for us being the SB DC office for this county and to have that done, and so we just wanted to say thank you and let you know what had been done. I did bring them, they're over there, so I wanted to show you what was given out and that. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
Other than, you certainly have been in the news quite a bit lately, and you deserve the accolades that you've got, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I just have one comment. And this is why you received the award for Congressional Woman of the Year. Tracy Beard, congratulations.
Thank you. It's very humbling, but thank you very much. Thank you. You know what? We have the greatest chamber and the greatest membership, and I have to tell you, this award goes to my membership and to my businesses and to Peasants Feast, because we have businesses that started during this time, and that's who gets this award from me, is going to get it on the 20th of this month. So I really have to tell you, the membership is amazing, and we've increased our membership 17 during this pandemic for what we've done. So we've been able to really help our business community. So I really want that to be known, that the chamber is out there working with that and all of our other, how do you say, chambers as an alliance. So thank you. But I do want to show you what we did. I forgot to bring my other bag up.
Thank you.
This is called the shield that we gave out. We gave out 700 of these. We gave out 700 bottles of sanitizer, just locally to our community. And we gave out this, we gave out 500 boxes of these, and they have 50 in them per box. So everybody was able to get something for 30 days. And as long as they filled out the form, that was how it kind of went, and it was first come, first serve, and we had them put aside, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Is there any more public comment? I have no more speaker slips. Do we have anyone on the line?
Do we have anyone on Zoom or phone? If you're on Zoom, raise your hand. Items not on the agenda. If you're on phone, just unmute yourself. Seeing none.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the item number 2, executive reports and advance calendar.
So I have a brief city manager report, starting with just some reminders of where we are. We're still in the beginning of the new financial plan. You adopted the 2020-22 tier financial plan at the end of June, and we are moving forward with those efforts. As you know, we have opened up an RFP soliciting proposals for the general plan update, which will be a very important process for the city of Solvang, basically looking at kicking off a visioning process first, which may take up to estimated 6 months or so, to where there would be some conversation with the city and the community about the vision for the city of Solvang over the next 10 to 20 years, which would then follow with more technical updates of all of the elements for the general plan. This would be a first comprehensive general plan update since the city of Solvang actually incorporated. So that RFP is out there. It's on the city website. It's also advertised with all the associations and professional organizations for planning, and that RFP will be closing on August 31st. Public Works has also kicked out wastewater treatment plant aeration system upgrade. That's in progress right now. We will be revisiting and kicking off again the parking study, which was a very important element in getting the information for general plan update as well, but was unfortunately interrupted with COVID-19. So we will be getting that contract back to working again, and there will be about a 4 months period before that can be completed. Of course, there's still some effects due to COVID-19 that are irregularities, but we'll just have to make some statistical assumptions to make up for that. We also have the 5th Street Sidewalk project that is now kicked off and in progress. That, I think, has been long awaited. And then, of course, we'll be issuing some additional RFPs here very shortly for the website update. We'll also be issuing RFP for water and sewer rate study, and, of course, the general fund fees and cost allocation updates, which hasn't been done since 2005. Also, on a note for recruitments, you authorized or funded 2 positions with this financial plan. So the first position that's open for recruitment right now, it's a management level position, is the management analyst that would focus on a variety of internal operations. That's open and we'll be closing at the end of August. And then we also have a part-time office assistant that we are working with the union per the MOU on backfilling that position. On another recruitment, the branding and design committee is still open recruitment. It was opened up a couple of weeks ago, and the priority deadline is August 17th. I have received 4 applications so far, and I have forwarded those to you at this point. But the information how to apply is available on the city website. You see the little emblem there that can be seen on the very front page of the city website, and it has the informational letter on qualifications, and basically the difference between the BAR and the BDC here is that members of the board shall have demonstrated interest in and knowledge of architectural history, architecture, local history, or fields related to historic preservation, construction, planning, geography, landscape architecture, urban design, Danish culture, arts, or real estate. So 3 of the individuals would need to have those specific skills in their resume, and then 2 would be more of members at large. And this also extends to applicants not only from the city of Solvang, but can actually, people can be appointed from the larger St. Inez Valley. So my expectation or hope is that we would be able to bring that back to council for review of the original applications, and hopefully an appointment of 5 members on August 24th.
Just out of curiosity, with that being so few applicants at this point in time, is there any other advertising avenues we could put up, like Facebook or?
We can, definitely. So we did do a press release when we originally opened it up, and that got picked up by at least a couple of newspapers, Santa Maria and I believe the St. Inez Valley. But we can definitely, yes, do a little bit more social media advertisement on that.
So I'd like to see that we have options, not just 4 people, not even filling
Right.
5.
Right. We still have some time until August 17th, but yes, spreading the word that it's open would definitely be helpful.
Thank you.
So moving on to advanced calendar for August 24th and September 14th. I kind of blended those together. We'll see how the timing works for these items. But definitely at the next item of August 24th, we'll have once again the DoubleTree Carriages license public hearing. That's the animal conveyance license that was rescheduled from last council meeting. That's scheduled and it will be a public hearing. Council also had directed us to look into the ordinance amendment for the animal drunk convenience license. So that may be also scheduled for August 24th or September 14th. Then we have the branding and design committee members appointment. Hopefully we have enough applications by August 24th, as we have some tasks for them to do. We have the ordinance that would codify branding and design committee that would need to come back to the council. As you would remember, the BAR, Board of Architectural Review, was only on our books as a resolution, was never actually codified in the code, so this would codify the branding and design committee in the code. We may visit the visitor center contract considerations. You had allocated $75,000 for that for the year in the current budget. We will have the marketing update from IDK, who are doing marketing updates once a month per their contract. We'll also have some discussion or clarifications around the purchasing and budget policies or budget control. And we have another grant application, which is Transportation Cares Act for $120,000. So that's some of the monies that originated from COVID-19, and there's quite a bit of funding coming through the transportation channel. And then lastly, we'll be able to announce the implementation of Next Request, which is a system for public information requests, which automates that process and alleviates a lot of the cumbersome work from staff and also makes it a lot more open and transparent to the public with the records.
On this note here, is there any sense to not having an August 24th meeting and just pushing to the first meeting of September? And
Can I add something to that, though? If we do that, then we've got a 3-week gap because we've got the extra, August 31st is a Monday. So we would have a 3-week gap in between meetings, even if we have the August 24th meeting. So if we skip that, we'd be 5 weeks away from our next council meeting.
Yeah.
just because you're talking about sometime having a meeting where we maybe give staff some time to catch up on stuff.
That would be,
Right. Well, we can definitely push most of these items to August 24th, but we do have the DoubleTree Carriages license public hearing advertised for that
okay.
date.
All right.
So
Just a question.
we could have probably a shorter meeting if we'd like.
it's up to you. I'm just throwing that out because we do have a 3-week.
Well, if it's advertised,
Okay.
I also feel it's really important for us to really nail down our design committee as well, because we do have stuff that is on this agenda that's pending or could possibly be pending their decision.
Correct.
Maybe in September we find a meeting.
Okay. Well, that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Anything from City Attorney? Okay. With that, we had one person that actually wanted to make public comment on item number 6, but they would like to leave early. Jennifer, I'll let you make your public comment now.
Jennifer Sony, Lions Peak. I feel like I'm becoming a regular, but don't intend to be. On Copenhagen, I've noticed that quite a few changes seem to be taking place, other than the tables that are being removed, the lighting today. And I have quite a few patrons that come and have the tastings, and the overall opinion of Copenhagen with the kiosks and all is extremely favorable. Their input, even as of last week, because I'm out there working as one of my employees, is that they favor what's being done and would really like to see it continue to be much more apparent than what's on the forefront currently, meaning that you did more design work, enhanced the street, and they would like to see it much more like a boulevard instead of traffic going up and down Copenhagen. And that's mainly my input on this, to see where we are going, because that seems to be unknown. And particularly being a business there with a lease that comes due at the end of the year, that if the encroachment does not stay and we continue with the COVID shutdown on the internal aspect of our business, it makes my business non-functional. So with that, what comes out of this city meeting is really imperative in order to move forward on some kind of decision. Or I need to find some place that does have something other than a parking lot, an outdoor seating area that I can sustain my business, because it's not only my business, it's my livelihood too. I don't have anyone else supporting me on that. So that's one thing that's important. The other thing, which is the negative aspect of it, is we did call 911 or the police because we're having problems with young people on skateboards, not only on the sidewalks, they're on the streets, they're actually on the skateboards jumping over the chains that are Copenhagen, whatever it's 4th Street. And someone needs to do something about signage, whether it's or the skateboarded or people that are just putting business signs up on the streets. I know we had someone previously that took care of signage,
Okay,
and that's about it.
All right.
thank you.
But thank you for doing what you've done.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to the item number 3, consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull from the consent agenda? I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been seconded.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeJarnius,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Mayor Toussaint.
Yes. Regular business agenda, item number 4, resolution to support United Nations Convention, elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. Staff report.
So item number 4 was a request from the Commission of Women, Santa Barbara County, to consider this resolution, a resolution in support of the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. I believe Karen Steinwex is with us on Zoom and would like to say a few words. If you would like to just unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody. We are part of the Women's Commission through Santa Barbara County. I'm one of the District 3 representatives working for Supervisor Hartman. CEDAW is a resolution through the United Nations. It's been adopted by almost all the countries in the world. One of the few that has not ratified this is the United States. What we are attempting to do is moving this up from the local level. The rest of the townships and the county have already made a resolution adopting CEDAW. Guadalupe was the most recent. We're hoping the city of Santa Barbara, or the county of Santa Barbara, has also adopted this resolution. And what we're hoping to do is have Solvang also adopt the resolution so that the Board of Supervisors can move this into the ordinance stage.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that concludes staff presentation. So if you have any questions.
All right. We have any public comment on that? Anybody like to speak? Negative?
Does anybody on Zoom would like to speak on this item?
Thank you, Karen, by the way.
Raise your hands if you would like to speak. Seeing none. No public comment.
To get back to the council for discussion and action. Does anyone have anything to say on this item?
Other than making a motion to approve a resolution.
Okay, I'll second it.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeJarnius,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Waite?
Yes, and can I just formally read that? It would be to approve a resolution of the City Council of Solvang in support of the United Nations Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women.
Okay,
Mayor Toussaint?
yes.
Passes 5-0.
On item number 5, memorandum of understanding to apply for regional early action planning grant program. Staff report.
So this is a grant program that's available as part of the 6th cycle of updating the RENA numbers, or the required housing numbers for Santa Barbara County, including the city of Solvang. It's a grant of where city of Solvang is eligible for $117,000, and the city of Solvang Council has to approve the resolution establishing a memorandum of understanding between involved organization in this grant program. So it's a procedural item for you to adopt the resolution, in which case the staff will be able to apply for this grant. It's $117,000 that can be applied to the general fund, the general plan update that you have already authorized as part of the financial plan, which was originally funded by primarily general fund for the housing element itself. This money would be able to be applied to that process. That concludes staff report.
Okay, are there any questions on staff report?
Nope.
Go to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item?
Anyone on Zoom would like to speak? Raise your hand. See none.
Take this back to the council. Discussion action. Does anyone have anything to say on this item?
No.
Make the motion to approve the item as is.
I'll second it.
It's been seconded.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember DeJorgis,
Absolutely, yes.
Not a
Councilmember
fan.
Johnson has stepped out. Councilmember Johnson, you vote.
The restroom's bugged. Couldn't you have said something?
Yes.
Councilmember Waite,
Yes,
Mayor Toussaint.
Yes.
Passes
And
5-0.
just for clarification, this item generally supports projects like what
It's-
Ed St. George has submitted, is that?
It supports any activities that are aligned with the state intentions to, yes, provide with housing and speed up providing housing.
And I'm not a fan of this at all, but we can't get the grant money without
Without, yeah.
approving.
Well, in any case, you have to update the housing element as part of the general plan, which would have to be aligned with state laws and state intentions.
and so I just want to also point out that if we don't get in line with state law and state intentions, we are fined heavily and sanctioned.
Hands are tied.
Well, I'd rather get out.
God bless California.
I'd rather get out in front of these
We're
things.
doing our discussion after we voted.
Well, I think we're just, now
We're
Like,
venting.
we're venting. All right, is all the venting done?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know, Chris was still venting, what?
Chris, do you still want to vent?
Vent, vent, vent.
Okay, all right. Item number 6, Copenhagen street closure.
Okay, so item number 6, Copenhagen Street closure. A little bit of background that council had authorized the temporary closure this summer. We were expecting it to only go through about mid of July, but as the street was closed, we found ourselves with yet again changing regulations from the state and subsequently the county that changed the way that restaurants and tasting rooms were allowed to operate, to where now, at least temporarily, they are only allowed to operate outdoors. If you read the state reopening roadmap and Santa Barbara County reopening roadmap, you will notice that all of their guidelines are structured in a way where even if we continue to reopen, if cases in Santa Barbara County continue to increase, there is guidelines on how you would continue to once again adjust and basically close down to some degree again, or there may be other modifications like we have seen with this outdoor dining that we have right now. So I think it is likely to see that the COVID-19 restrictions are here with us for a while with the social distancing, and at least through the winter. which is usually more of the epidemic time frame. So the recommendation would be for you as council, as you have heard during public comment, to give some expectation to the businesses to where we can have a plan to where businesses can operate both indoors when they're allowed and also have a permanent setup outdoors on Copenhagen Street for the next year. So the recommendation is for you to formally authorize closure of the Copenhagen Street through the end of the fiscal year 2020-21. So that would get us to the next summer. So a few comments and feedback. The marketing value, this is a summary and it's in your report as well, that's coming from the marketing team, is that, and you will have more details once again with their report at the next council meeting, but you heard about it at their last update. The surveys are showing positive tourist feedback. People are also happy to see the European style and the fact that the closure of the main street is more Danish-like. Since we are Danish capital of America, people do elect to travel short distances without air travel. Once again, the city of Solvang is likely to benefit from that, and we are seeing quite a bit of our hotels actually fully booked up at this point, which is a great turnaround for Solvang. And Solvang had historically benefited from that short distance travel during Great Recession before. People are also commenting about the possibility of having some kind of holiday markets. As you know, we will likely not be able to have large events, but we would be able to, in the social distancing way, to still have potentially a holiday market that would still be European-like as a Christmas market on Copenhagen Street, where that closure may be very useful. And in June, for example, the media coverage was attributed 68% to this Copenhagen closure. So it's making the news. It's been a good value as a marketing item for the city of Solvang. So marketing steering committee recommendations, as you know, IDK has formed this committee and they're working with them on an ongoing basis. But one of the things that they have commented on is the fact that, and you have commented on this as well, that we need to develop some kind of a design for the longer term closure that is tasteful and the right design for the city of Solvang. So with that design, as you know, the branding and design committee is in the middle of the recruitment. Hopefully we'll have enough applications by next council meeting. It may still take a little bit while before you can actually have them all seated and working on this. So there's a few considerations, I think, where you could give some direction to staff on how to continue with development of those design guidelines. You could task the branding and design committee with this assignment of creating a design committee. You could also look at hiring a private designer that could do this quicker, or you could do both at the same time. And for example, branding and design committee could work with another designer and just be more of a guiding type of body. So the considerations are that the city BDC could develop the guidelines, or those would be the new regulations for the city of Solvang. As you know, we've had the sign ordinance, but the sign ordinance doesn't work right now during COVID-19. This is totally different, yet we do need some regulations to keep it on brand. Then the city could provide funding for common use areas. We would come back to you in the future once this design work is underway to bring to you a budget adjustment and recommendations for that. But common areas is a point of consideration that's within the city's umbrella of responsibility. And then the city could either elect to just have the guidelines, the regulations, and regulate the brand, but have businesses throughout town actually pay for their furniture and other structures themselves, or the city could consider creating a program with businesses to where the city could perhaps help provide the funds upfront and make it easier on businesses with a repayment plan. So those are kind of the considerations for you to consider and give us direction on. In the short term, last time you directed me to come back with a report and take over the payments from IDK on what's still rented. IDK did return back the larger tables that weren't getting very good feedback. But there are some rentals still out there. There's some smaller tables, and there is the white fencing that was rented under IDK budget. And so in totality, that's about $100, $750 a month or a week, which equates to $7,000 per month payment on just those items. So we can continue to pay that now under the city dime per direction last time, or we can look at something. This was frankly I'm not the sorcerer for furniture, but this is a really quick Google of what's out there and actually available in stock. You know, there's the black tables and chairs is something that is already on Copenhagen with a lot of businesses. Those beer garden type of sitting benches are also out there on Copenhagen. So something like this wouldn't distract if you wanted to have something in a really short term. You could buy about 10 of them, which is probably what we have out there for about $5,000. The white fencing purchase price is also $5,000. So, you know, this purchase would basically be at $10,000 for the month versus continue to pay $7,000 as a lease payment. So it's pretty close. This is another item that is getting some feedback from businesses and residents, and that's the shade structures and the brand on that. We could leave everything as is and not regulate this until a design is actually developed, or we could reach out to businesses and replace different tents that are right now on the street with additional parklets. Parklets cost $400 each parklet. I would say that some of the tents probably provide better shade than the parklets, so it's part of the consideration. And another item that's come in from the public is the availability of parking. We have addressed the one disabled parking spot with a replacement of additional parking spot by the visitor center. We have also created limited time parking spaces adjacent to the Copenhagen street to accommodate short stop shopping. So for those who want to just come to Copenhagen that are locals, they have some spots there that are short term. So somebody wouldn't be parking there for a long time. It's just, you know, you come in, park and shop and leave. We can also place some additional signage to direct traffic to parking. So with the closure and traffic pattern being different, we can just guide people better to parking lot 2.
Nice.
So the considerations that have been brought up by some that are somewhat troublesome in terms of safety is to partially reopen the block between 1st and 2nd Streets, which would provide with additional parking. And the argument is that it's not very busy on that side of the block. However, that would be a considerable effort for staff in the city to study how to do that safely, study the traffic flow, and then invest in some kind of substantial barriers to ensure that the street is still closed. And then, of course, there's a couple of parking spots. If you do want to close Copenhagen for at least a year, there's a couple of parking spots that could be gained on the corner of Alisal and Copenhagen, where there's the turn lane, but that would require repainting of the curb and the street, so a little bit of effort. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions of the staff report?
Comments, but no questions.
Okay. That will go to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this item? We have one.
Can I?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm all excited now. Okay. So my name is Mary Garvey, and I actually am a tourist here. So I am a resident of Los Angeles, and I've been coming up to the Valley probably close to 30 years. And I love this presentation, and I loved what the, sorry if I'm breathing heavy.
Olson's.
What the Olsen said, and also what the woman was saying about Copenhagen. I think it's great. People love to eat outside. People love to hang out outside. They love to walk up and down the street. One of the things that struck me, what was just said, was the parking thing. I don't get that. Like I said, I've been coming up here for forever, and even on 4th of July, I've never had a problem trying to find a place to park. So I don't understand.
Blasphemy.
But I really don't. And I think I saw Chris nodding when he said like better directions towards where parking is. So I I would encourage you as a city council not to give in to this idea of there isn't any parking in Solvang, because there's tons of parking in Solvang if people are willing to walk or, you know, just be a little more creative. So please keep the street closed, and it's great. I think you're going to get a lot of people that want to come and eat, and I could see a holiday market. I know our farmers market down where I live, they limit the amount of people that can come in. You have to line up, and then, you know, they let certain people in. I could see a great Kris Kringle Mart here, all sorts of great stuff happening outside. So there's tons of parking. Don't give it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Is there any other public comment?
Is there any public comment on Zoom? If so, raise your hand. Or unmute yourself if you're on phone. Seeing none.
Okay, take it back to the council for discussion and action. Who'd like to start?
I'll start, okay.
Go ahead.
Sure, okay. So I really, really like the idea of giving the businesses the opportunity to purchase or possibly even purchase or rent the equipment that's already out in front of their businesses to keep some consistency. Or even we buy stuff so that it looks consistent with the contingency that they pay us back over time. And I think we should be consistent with the parklets. Once you start to get into the tent shades, you could get a mishmash unless we can do something consistent with a particular theme, because we don't have a branding design committee right now. I would stick with the, by the parklets.
My comments? Not in any particular order, but I do think that Copenhagen looks a little bit sloppy right now, and I wish we had some more continuity. And if we had the branding and design committee up together sooner, it would be nice to have some people sit down and go over what a cohesive look for the entire block. I'm in favor of keeping Copenhagen closed the way it is. The visitors like it. Every single Saturday since Governor shut the state down, I've come into town on a Saturday and walked around. I've always found, well, of course, at first we did, but in the last few weeks, this actually last weekend was the most crowded parking I've seen in the town. But I always find a parking place right here, which a lot of tourists don't know to park there. But anyway, it was really, really crowded, but still yet there was parking in town. I tend to pay more attention to emails that we get that don't start with "how dare you," and a couple of them were about the taxpayer money being spent to benefit just a few of the restaurants that are on Copenhagen Street. I agree with some of the rising tide things as far as benefiting the entire town, but we are spending an awful lot of money to benefit a few businesses on Copenhagen Street. And I do think that some of the emails that we did receive with that have valid complaints. And also, it's funny though, every year in Danish Days, on Sunday afternoons, I spend cleaning up the benches from Solvang School and taking them over there. There's no school right now. There's not going to be any school in the fall that we know of. I don't know if there's any way we could incorporate those benches that they use at the Solvang Middle School that we've used for Danish Days for years. If we could put those on Copenhagen Street, it might help. They're not getting used now, and they're probably not going to get used in the fall. And I want to pass a resolution that we can coordinate our pandemics with our droughts so that we don't have to worry about rain, because we are very, very fortunate to be where we are, that we don't have to worry about rain, and we could probably carry this through the year if we don't have a really, really, really wet winter. But I was kidding about the pandemic and the drought, but we're really, really blessed that we have decent weather here to support a lot of the businesses. That's my only comments. And more trash cans.
Any other comments?
I got a couple. I agree with staff's recommendations. I would certainly follow those, and I suggest, as staff had recommended, that the BDC, as it gets back together, works perhaps with a design consultant to find a way to make the Copenhagen promenade have that wonderful Danish feel, or European feel that we're all looking for. I think we do need some kind of a overall guidance or guideline for that. Also, I think Robert brought up a good point. Since Solvang School is going to be closed, why can't we work something out with their parking lot and use that as overflow parking?
I think we are. People are parking there regardless whether it's legal or not.
We are, yeah. Well, it's always been open to us per the agreement on weekends and
I'd
evenings.
heard something perhaps a few months ago, they were trying to take that away from us.
We've worked through that already.
You did,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe people just don't know it's there. And that's
Right, so it's maybe just more signage in the downtown area guiding people to where additional
right.
parking is.
And I love what you're doing with respect to the handicap parking. I think it speaks to that weird complaint last week or last meeting where they didn't understand we'd actually added handicap parking as opposed to removing. I think you guys have done an amazing job in dealing with a very difficult situation and making the most of it. So kudos to city staff and IDK for coming up with some short-term solutions, which apparently the tourists love. The businesses, after a rocky start, seem to appreciate a lot. And I agree. I think we should try to find a way to purchase this, the furniture, especially for those outdoor common areas. That's my main concern. Then also, I like the idea of the tents, especially if there's some kind of uniformity to them. I think they might actually work better than the parklets, which are a little more expensive to maintain.
Yep.
Any comments, Daniel?
No, my concern is just that the city is obviously paying monthly for all of these things, and we need to find a way to get the businesses involved at this point. I think we're past the point of us covering all the costs. The other concern would be the uniformity of what we're putting out there on Copenhagen, and again, I like the idea of having a design consultant working with the BDC. Also on the BDC front, I do think we need to have some residents on the BDC to have them get their input as far as the city goes. So not just businesses, but also residents.
Okay. I think I share a lot of the same concerns we've all had. I think a lot of them were addressed in this staff report. So in consistency with the staff recommendation, I'll make a motion and I'll see if that flies here. So in consistency with the staff recommendation, I'll provide direction to staff to return to the first September meeting with resolution to make permanent the Copenhagen Promenade, including closure to vehicle traffic and continuation of business encroachments. I'll make note of public testimony of renewal of annual leases coming up in December, so it needs to be longer than just a year, so tenants and landlords can make viable business decisions, and to create a program through the city to procure items and make viable acquisition and/or rental options available for our local businesses to be successful during trying times while creating consistency. I'd also like to note the City of Solvang has directed our staff to park in non-prime parking spaces. Business owners can do the same. And the closure is kind of like an event. It doesn't benefit every single person, but we need that right now to have our last fighting chance during COVID. So that's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded.
Fantastic motion.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yep.
Councilmember DeJarnius,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Mayor Tuton.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
On to item number 7. Fiscal year 2019 to 2020, quarter 4 financial report. Staff
Okay.
report.
So this is a preliminary report for quarter 4, or really for the year end for prior fiscal year 2019-20. A complete comprehensive annual financial report will be available in December of 2020. There's a disclaimer, not all accruals or year-end entries have been posted, so there will be some variations, more variations so in the enterprise funds that are full accounting basis. But we do have a few things that we can look at as just a preview of where we landed the year and how COVID-19 impacted the city of Solvang at the last quarter. So if you see here, I'm showing a fund summary by fund. On the general fund, we are showing an unfavorable variance of about $1.5 million. That means that amount will be drawn out of the fund balance. Our revenues were shorter than our expenditures. I do want to add that yellow note is actually, that number did not include receivables for TOT for June, so we did get $160,000 in TOT in June. So that just shows you the very beginning of when the economy started to reopen, and actually our hotels are doing quite well in filling up. So that's a good sign for the city of Solvang. So I'll just go through some of the key indicators in those amounts. The TOT for the year is about $1.2 million lower than was budgeted. The sales tax is about $200 lower than was budgeted, and I'll talk about these two main revenues in a couple more slides. Our revenue for events, which did not exist before in prior years, was $100,000 for the year. Now, significant variances in expenditures compared to adopted budget were that we had savings in salaries and benefits. That was primarily before the layoffs, so that was due to holding vacancies throughout the year. We've had some delayed projects that were moved to 2020-21, such as some of the elements of the general plan update and a couple in public works. And then there's kind of a general trend in overall non-salary expenditures that create a savings. So when you get your comprehensive annual financial report, you usually see that the city of Solvang comes up better than expected. That's just that normal variation that most cities end up having, just because there's a few % difference between the budget actual that ends up being a positive indicator for the fund balance. Now, you had some higher expenditures than originally budgeted with some of the restructuring that went on throughout the year, and because of the vacancies, your expenditures in temporary staffing were higher, in professional fees, in legal fees, and in marketing and tourism, you came in a little bit higher than original budget after original cuts, but was still lower than the prior year's expenditure, and some of that was also due to COVID-19.
And those are all one time.
Yes.
So you should see a continuing ROI as we.
All of that is one time. I would say that this whole structure, it looks different, and going forward, starting with this year, I would refer to the financial plan for the expenditure structure that you just adopted with that plan.
I think that's the main thing for people to try to understand right now, is that there's a lot of one-time costs that we went through last year, but it's going to largely pay off many times throughout the years to come.
Now, a couple more significant variances in the wastewater fund. There is a significant variance compared to the adopted budget, but that's because the wastewater treatment plant upgrade is delayed in time, as you would remember, as you adopted in the capital improvement program, and we are concentrating on the aeration project first. The water fund has a positive variance of $1.4 million. The suspended table A purchase is delayed once again, just because of the contractual changes in negotiations between the county and CCWA. That's not going to happen probably for another year. That was money transferred into the water fund from the general fund, so it will be placed into a reserve, basically, to remind everybody that that money came for that specific purpose from the general fund in the water fund. And then we also, this is something that we have little control over, but based on how the state does their budgeting, the actual payment this year came in at $150,000 lower than what they had told us before. And then in the government impact fees, you will see just a timing issue with positive $400,000, which is just the timing of the expenditures on the 5th Street project, which is now kicked off. Did not actually occur last year, but it is occurring right now in this fiscal year.
While you're on that slide really quick, there was several meetings ago, we asked for a wastewater treatment plant upgrade status report. I don't think we've had that since.
No.
And then over a year ago, I believe, we had the suspended table A item come up, in which case the council asked if that's something that we could cancel. And I'm not sure that we ever got that back on the agenda with the staff report.
Okay, so this shows a trend month by month on TOT. So before COVID-19 hit, through comparing to previous fiscal year to this fiscal year, through February, we had a 2% positive growth from year over year. Of course, COVID-19, you will see in March, is starting to take a large hit. April and May are very, very low. And then the 160 should go in June. So June still continued to be much lower than our normal June would be, but that's where we started to see the uptick in our TOT. And then we'll be coming back to you with more details on TOT, but working with IDK who survey our hotels, we're seeing that most of the hotels are actually seeing almost full occupancy, which is great news for City of Solvang. And almost everybody is paid up in their back owed TOT. So there's about 15,000 outstanding.
And I think also as we go through these patterns, that will probably continue to change as we navigate through the current situation. Don't we have two of our biggest hotels closing down for remodel right now?
The Cork is remodeling, but they also have certain rooms open.
There
Oh,
That's-
they're like just keeping a certain capacity open.
Right, so
Okay.
they're kind of doing
But I
wing-
imagine that'll
wing
have
by
an
wing.
impact as well on.
Yes, that will have an impact.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so trend in sales tax. Sales tax, generally speaking, didn't get hit quite as badly in that time period, but the state had allowed deferment of the third quarter sales tax, which would have normally be due in April until for 90 days. So your trend in April, May, and we don't have the June numbers yet. Sales tax is lagged by 2 months in when the payments come in. It's the trend in April, May, and June is going to be very difficult to interpret because people are submitting their payments. They're allowed basically to delay their payment for 90 days. So some of them are reporting the payments, some of them are paying the payments that are not necessarily for that month. So we are working with our sales tax consultant, and we will be coming back. Unfortunately, that report and all of that data won't be vetted through until September. So in September, we'll have a much better idea about the quarter 4 on the sales tax.
Can you break out the sales tax between those things that are tourist-related and those things that are not? For example, grocery store sales
Well,
are
can
mixed
I-
in with this.
Can I comment on that? May I?
Sure.
If you go back to that screen,
If you can go back,
if you look at your
he's
sales
going.
tax.
Not to Robert, but to this.
Yeah, I know. If you look at your sales tax in March and April, basically that's what your residents are generating in sales tax here.
That's
Because-
what I wanted to distinguish.
Because we had no visitors. So you have $65,000 to $70,000 in sales tax generated from the hardware store, from the lumber yard, from your
Grocery
local
stores.
restaurants that were doing takeout, and from your grocery stores and one gas station. So that's pretty much what your locals contribute out of, say, for example, last year was $111,000. There's your sales tax. The difference is $50,000 is the difference between what residents contribute to sales tax and what your tourists are contributing. It's pretty, I think it's pretty obvious.
That's what I'd like staff to be able to define or differentiate between those things that are definitely tourist-related and those things that are more locally driven, like you were pointing out. I think it was a great point on and you make a great comment, in other words. So if you could do that, and I know it's not that hard because you get that information anyway in generic form, right? So you could kind of break it out between those two categories?
Yeah, we can break it out by different industries, for sure, which is indicative of industries that are more tourist-related and which
Right.
are,
Because what I'm really trying to figure out is how dependent we are on tourism, and especially certain types, for example, food and beverage versus retail.
Yeah.
And bobbleheads.
And bobbleheads.
Don't forget the trinkets.
okay. And that concludes my report for today, but yes, so the next steps would be quarter, in the end of September, beginning of October, we'll be able to come back with more information and detail on sales tax, where we'll work through those trends with reporting anomalies, and we can also look at it in terms of different industries and perhaps different parts of town. And then following that, we'll have a quarter 1 financial report for this year, where we'll have an update on the forecast looking forward through the year and see if anything needs to be adjusted. I know that our consultant is providing some preliminary numbers right now to where we're looking at recovery for COVID-19 that is kind of similar to the Great Recession, to where, expectations over the next several years, at least on sales tax, will be lowered. And then, of course, in December, you will have your comprehensive financial report for the year end and the audited statements. And this is just to receive and file.
That's
Any
fantastic.
other questions?
Just a comment, I really appreciate what staff is trying to do to help give the council enough information to make intelligent decisions going forward, and it's all data-driven. So kudos to you guys for doing what I haven't seen before in previous years, and that's really helpful, especially in these times of COVID. We're trying to balance the budget, at least work through a negative budget or some budget shortfalls. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to public comment. Does anyone like to speak on this item?
If you'd like to speak, unmute yourself. Seeing none?
Okay, that'll take it back to the council. Receive and file. Great job. Thank you. Received and filed. And item number 8, AB 1234, report out, council comments and request. Again, I don't think there's been any events the city's paid for. If there have been any, please let me know, because apparently I missed out.
Yeah.
So then, is there any council comments or request?
I was gonna get on a soapbox, but no.
I have just a very quick council comment. I really still need to get you the article on Tracy Beard so we can do
Oh,
a
yeah.
proclamation
Email that
for
to me.
her. So I'd like to be able to do that in the next meeting, so I'll get you that information.
Okay.
Oh, and I have just one, what is the status of the repayment of the microloans right now?
I don't have the exact number, but it was at least 2/3 repaid last I checked on it. So
Outstanding.
we're doing pretty well, yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you.
That makes us not feel bad about doing it.
Right,
We took
yes,
some heat.
business is
We know we have a
looking
responsible
great.
business
Yes.
community that we can do that for now.
And I'm still fighting for my cameras on Copenhagen Street and downtown for the sheriff's department. No.
I think we should have a debate on that one.
It's not on the
I
agenda.
think
It's not on
we
the
will.
agenda, so let Robert make his comments, and then, does anyone else have any other comments?
Yeah, I do. We're in the election, I'm sorry, we're in the process where we're taking applications for council seats. And I want to encourage anybody who hasn't, or let me rephrase that, anyone who's thinking about running, I'd like to encourage them to do so. This is an honorable responsibility and task that we have taken on individually and voluntarily, because we believe that we can move the city forward and develop a vision that will strengthen our community, not just today, but for years to come. And I think that we're better served when we have as many people running as possible. I want to make a comment only, and I don't want to put it down on this, but I feel that some of the toxic stuff that we've seen in the papers, especially directed at me, is unfortunate, because I've heard from many people that they will not run. They will not put themselves in the same situation that I am, simply because it's not fair to them and their families. So again, I encourage anybody who's considering running, please get out there, get your papers. You still have a few more days to get it done. Good
And
luck.
I'm actually very surprised, for as many critics as this council has, not maybe the many, but the vocal critics, that there aren't more people running. Two more days.
Yes, so the deadline for 2 council seats for the 4 years is August 12th, and the deadline for mayor is August 12th, and the deadline for a 2-year potential seats, shall I recall, prevail is August 20.
I'd always encourage competition as well, and people have even more time to run for the recalled seat, August 20th. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.